she added a detail. That's what I keep coming back to. Not just I'm staying at Rima's tonight, but Rima's making that lentil soup you don't like anyway, so don't feel bad. A small, unnecessary detail. The kind that makes a lie breathe. The kind you only add when you've had practice. I said, okay, get some rest. I meant it. I turned off the lamp on my side of the bed and went to sleep believing her, which is either the saddest part or the most ordinary part, depending on how honest I'm being with myself. The call came at 2:17 in the morning. I remember the time because I looked at the clock before I answered, the way you do when an unknown number calls in the night and some part of you is already bracing. A woman's voice. Careful and professional. She said my wife's name first, then the hospital's name, then the word accident. She said stable before I could ask, which told me she'd done this before and knew what people needed to hear and in what order. I was in the car in 4 minutes. I don't remember getting dressed. What I didn't know, driving there, was the question forming beneath the fear. It hadn't surfaced yet. I was just a man driving fast toward his wife. That felt simple. That felt like the only thing. The question surfaced in the waiting room. If she was at Rima's, why is she coming from the other direction? I didn't ask anyone. I sat with it on a plastic chair under fluorescent light and let it take shape slowly, the way you let your eyes adjust to a room you've just walked into. A nurse handed me her phone. Practical reason. They needed her emergency contacts, and she wasn't conscious enough to navigate it herself. The passcode, the nurse said gently. I knew it. Our anniversary backwards, I had teased her once about how unoriginal it was. I found the contacts. I also found the messages. Not because I was looking, because the last conversation was still open, the way a book falls open to the page you've read most. I read 4 minutes of the previous 6 months. Then I put the phone face down on my knee and looked at the wall for a while. I went in that first night. I want to be clear about that. I sat beside her bed and I watched her breathe with the help of things that beeped, and I stayed until the sky outside the small window changed color. A nurse brought me tea. I didn't drink. She assumed a particular story about who I was and why I was there, and I didn't correct her because the actual story was too recent and too shapeless to explain. I drove home as the city was waking up. I showered. I went to work. I answered emails. Nobody knew anything was different, which is its own strange loneliness. To be a person whose life has just rearranged itself completely, sitting in a meeting about quarterly figures, nodding at appropriate intervals. Her mother called. Her sister called. I answered both. I gave updates that were factual and brief. She's improving. The doctors are pleased with her progress. I did not say, I haven't been back. I did not say, I'm not sure I'm able to. Nobody asked about the other man, which meant either they didn't know or they knew and were waiting to see what I would do. He has not appeared at the hospital. Not once. I know this because her sister mentioned, carefully, that she was surprised no one else had come. She looked at me when she said it. I looked back. Neither of us named what we were both looking at. She asked me why I hadn't come back. Her voice still rough from the tube they'd removed 2 days before. Why haven't you been? Not, I need to tell you something. Not, I'm sorry. Just the question, which assumed I still owed her my presence without condition. Which assumed the contract between us was still the contract she remembered. I didn't answer. I've been thinking about that question for 11 days now. Turning it over. What it reveals about her understanding of us. And what my silence reveals about mine. There's a version of me that goes back in and sits beside her bed and holds her hand and lets the rest of it wait until she's recovered enough to have the conversation neither of us has started. There's another version that already knows waiting won't change the arithmetic. I'm in the parking lot of the hospital right now. I've been here for 20 minutes. The engine is off. People move in and out of the entrance, some hurrying, some not, some carrying flowers, some carrying nothing, all of them going towards something or away from it with more certainty than I feel. I know her room number. I know which elevator. I know she is awake and possibly looking at the door. The soup detail, the unnecessary practice detail. I sit with the steering wheel under my hands and I don't move, and the morning does what mornings do. It continues, indifferent, around a man who is still deciding what kind of person he is going to be when he finally gets out of the car.